Skol, Vikings Nation. Are you ready for a conversation that could shape the future of our offense for years to come? Because today we're diving headfirst into one of the biggest Minnesota Vikings news stories right now. And trust me, this one has layers. A talented young star, a tough season, off-the-field concerns, and now a massive financial decision that could define the direction of this franchise. We're talking about Jordan Addison, fourth year coming up, a contract crossroads, and a fifth-year option number that just dropped like a bomb on Friday afternoon. But here's the real question, Vikings fans. Are the Minnesota Vikings ready to bet $18 million on him? Stick with me because this isn't just about numbers. This is about identity. It's about accountability. And it's about whether this Vikings front office believes Addison is part of the long-term championship blueprint in Minnesota. Let's set the stage. Jordan Addison is entering his fourth season in the NFL. And for the first time in his young career, there are real questions surrounding him. Not just production, not just efficiency, the full picture. On-field flashes of brilliance mixed with inconsistency, and off-the-field situations that have forced the Vikings organization to take a hard look at the total investment. Now let's be fair. Addison is still one of the most naturally gifted route runners on this roster. His separation ability is elite. His footwork is crisp. His football IQ shows up on tape. But coming off what many consider his least impactful season so far, the momentum he once had has slowed just enough to raise eyebrows across the fanbase. And Vikings Nation, you know how this goes. Talent alone isn't enough in this league. Production plus professionalism, that's the formula. And that's exactly why this decision has become so complex for Minnesota. Then came Friday. The NFL officially announced that the 2026 salary cap will be set at $301.2 million. That's a massive number, and it changes the financial landscape across the league. But buried in that announcement was something even more important for us. The fifth-year option values for the 2023 draft class were officially released. And that's where Jordan Addison's situation became crystal clear. His fifth-year option, $18 million. Let that sink in for a second. $18 million for one season, fully guaranteed if the Vikings pick it up. And if Addison earns a Pro Bowl nod in 2026, that number jumps to a staggering $23.852 million. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a heavy investment. But here's where things get interesting. In today's NFL receiver market, $18 million annually would rank Addison roughly 25th among wide receivers in average annual value. That puts him right in the neighborhood of Jacoby Myers and just ahead of Jerry Jeudy. Not top-tier money, not elite contract money, just outside that premium bracket. So here's the debate, Vikings fans. Is Addison worth being paid as a top 25 receiver in the league? When you compare his talent profile to someone like Devonta Smith, who earns around $25 million per year, the gap in pure ability doesn't feel astronomical. Addison has shown he can dominate coverage. He's flashed WR1 traits. He's made clutch plays. The upside is absolutely there. But here's the catch, consistency and maturity. The Vikings have to decide whether they believe his trajectory is still ascending. Because $18 million is manageable in a $301.2 million cap world. It's not crippling. It's not franchise-altering. But it is a statement. Picking up that option says, "We believe in you." Declining it says, "We need more proof." And let's not ignore another strategic angle here. Even if the Vikings were exploring trade possibilities, and that's purely speculative at this stage, picking up the fifth-year option would actually increase Addison's trade value. Why? Because a team acquiring him would get cost certainty for 2027. That's leverage. That's negotiating power. That's smart front office maneuvering. So from a pure asset management perspective, exercising the option makes sense. Protects value, keeps flexibility, keeps options open. Now the timeline matters. The Vikings have until shortly after the NFL draft to officially decide on the fifth-year option. That means this front office has weeks, not months, to weigh every factor. Performance metrics, locker room leadership, long-term roster construction, financial modeling. And let me ask you this, do you think Addison's ceiling is still untapped? Or have we already seen the best version of him? because that's what this truly comes down to. If you believe he can evolve into a consistent 1,200-yard, double-digit touchdown receiver, $18 million becomes a bargain. If you're unsure, it becomes risk. The encouraging part is this. Even during what many labeled his worst season, Addison still commanded defensive attention. He still created separation. The underlying analytics suggest his route efficiency remains strong. That tells me something important. The foundation hasn't cracked. It may just need reinforcement. And let's zoom out for a second. The Minnesota Vikings offense is built around explosive plays. Speed, spacing, precision. Addison fits that philosophy. Removing him without a clear succession plan would create a gap. So if you're the Vikings front office, are you comfortable gambling that you can replace his skill set cheaper and better? Because that's the alternative. Financially speaking, in a $301.2 million cap environment, $18 million represents roughly 6% of total cap space. That's not franchise-destroying money. That's calculated investment territory. And if he hits the Pro Bowl and escalates to $23.852 million, that means he earned it. That means he produced at a level that justifies the spike. So in a strange way, even the incentive structure protects Minnesota. Here's where I land, Vikings fans. Talent like Addison's doesn't grow on trees. You don't casually let explosive playmakers walk, especially when the cost aligns with market value rather than resetting it. There are legitimate concerns. No sugarcoating that. But talent plus manageable cap hit plus trade leverage equals logical decision. If I'm calling it today, I expect the Vikings to pick up the fifth-year option. But now I want to hear from you. Should the Minnesota Vikings commit to Jordan Addison for that fifth year? Is $18 million fair? Or would you explore trade scenarios while his value is still high? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate this like true Vikings Nation. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Minnesota Vikings news, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with every Vikings fan you know. The off-season decisions are just heating up, and we're breaking down every move together. Skol, and I'll see you in the next one.